Exclusive: some big tech firms cut employees' access to Huawei, muddying 5G rollout. Chipmakers Intel Corp and Qualcomm Inc., mobile research firm InterDigital Wireless Inc., and South Korean carrier LG Uplus have restricted employees from informal conversations with Huawei, the world's largest telecommunications equipment maker, the sources said. Such discussions are a routine part of international meetings where engineers gather to set technical standards for communications technologies, including the next generation of mobile networks known as 5G. The U.S. Department of Commerce has not banned contact between companies and Huawei. On May 16, nevertheless, at least a handful of major U.S. and overseas tech companies are telling their employees to limit some forms of direct interaction, the People said, as they seek to avoid any potential issues with the U.S. government. Intel and Qualcomm said they have provided compliance instructions to employees, but declined to comment on them further. A spokesman for InterDigital said it has provided guidance to engineers to ensure the company is in compliance with U.S. regulations. An official with LG Uplus said the company is voluntarily. LG Uplus issued a statement to Reuters that there was no formal policy within the firm about limiting conversations with Huawei. Huawei did not provide comment. 5G slowdown. The new restrictions could slow the rollout of 5G, which is expected to power everything from high-speed video transmissions to self-driving cars, according to several industry experts. At a 5G standards meeting last week in Newport Beach, California, participants privately expressed alarm to Reuters that the long-standing cooperation among engineers that is needed for phones and networks to connect globally could fall victim to what one participant described as a tech. A representative of a European company that has instituted rules against interaction with Huawei described people involved in 5G development as shaken. This. To be sure, several workers at smaller telecoms firms said they had not been told to avoid discussions with Huawei at standards meetings, and many vendors continue to support existing deals with Huawei. It is unclear how theirs. He said that companies prohibiting their employees contacting Huawei was excessive. Huawei, whose equipment the United States has alleged could be used by China to spy, has emerged as a central figure in the trade war between the world's two largest economies. Huawei has China, US, and European companies have split before on standards for Wi-Fi, cell networks and other technologies, and the tit-for-tat over tariffs between Beijing and Washington has increased fears of another bifurcation. Huawei is a top player at various global organizations that set technical specifications. As one of the world's no more informal chats. Engineers and system architects representing their employers at meetings of the third-generation partnership Project 3GPP, a global consortium of industry associations that aims to set 5G specifications by March 2020, often take formal, general discussions into smaller, less documented sessions as they try to find agreement with rivals. But at 3GPP's meeting last week in California, one of the group's three chairmen, Balash Bhartanai of Nokia, told attendees that more of those so-called offline conversations than usual would be documented by the standards body with notes and other publicly available records. It was the practical. Companies want to limit informal exchanges, in which their engineers feel more comfortable discussing proprietary technology with rivals to persuade them why their research or innovations are more sound, the sources said. A separate standards body, the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers IEEE, put restrictions on Huawei engineers' ability to participate in peer reviews for its publications, drawing criticism from some in China's industry and elsewhere. The organization, which declined to comment beyond generic statements on its website, then backtracked days later after saying it had received the all-clear from the U.S. Commerce Department with respect to the peer review issue. It did not respond. Huawei If
Raindrop, drip, drop top, top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that.